Shalom Alechem, Erev Tov. We are continuing in the Shulchan Aruch. We are in Siman Nun Aleph 51 of Orach Chaim. And here we are on the top of page 12. En lehosif ad pesukei dezimra. We've mentioned already that the custom has developed, and the debate was from when, but let's say the custom has developed to recite pesukei dezimra. The prayers before prayer begins. Mostly a collection of Tehillim. And so now the question is, can we add our own Tehillim to the Pesukei Dezimra? Can we? It says, En lahosif al Pesukei Dezimra, Pesukim u'mizmorim. We should not add our own things to the Pesukei Dezimra. O lichpol mizmorim. We should not repeat chapters, like say them double. O lichpol shirat hayam. We also should not say the Song of the Sea twice. בין כשנמצא באמצע פסוקי דזמרה, ובין כשסיים אמירתם והגיע להשתבח. And that doesn't make a difference whether you're in the middle of פסוקי דזמרה, or whether you are all the way at the end by השתבח and you want to add more things. מפני שיש בזה חשש איסור הפסק, because we're afraid that it might be considered an interruption to the actual פסוקי דזמרה that we are saying. On page 13, בכל מקום, nonetheless, אם רוצה לחזור על המזמורים או על שירת הים, מחמת שלא כיוון באמירתם. Let's say you said שירת הים, for example. You mumbled it and said, oh, it was a good class last night. And the rabbi said we should sing שירת הים. I want to have proper kavanah. When you say שירת הים the second time, אף על פי שאינו חייב לחזור, even though you don't have to go back and repeat it, רשאי לחזור כדי שיחווה באמירתם, you're allowed to go back and repeat it to have kavanah. In the parentheses he writes, ורק פסוק פותח את ידיך, חייבוהו לחזור. And only that one pasuk in Ashrei, where we say, פותח את ידיך, that pasuk, you have an obligation to go back if you didn't have kavanah. וכמו שיבר להלן, we're going to explain soon what it means you have to go back for that. But let's say that you're not supposed to add chapters of Tehillim. You're not supposed to repeat any of the chapters that you said in Pesukei Dezimra. But if you went back and did it because of kavanah, that's okay. That's okay. Seder Birkat Baruch Shamar ve'amida b'amirata. So let's talk about the order of Baruch Shamar and what you're supposed to do when you say it. So this is practical stuff. This is what you're going to do tomorrow morning. On page 13, Gimel. Nohagim la'amod, we have a custom to stand, b'sha'ah shomrim Baruch Shamar, at the time that we say Baruch Shamar. Ad, until when? Chatimat ha'beracha, until we're done the beracha. בין כשאומר הברכה בציבור, ובין כשאומרה ביחיד. It doesn't make a difference whether you say it in public, with a minyan, or you say it at home in private. You still say Baruch Shamar standing up. ומכל מקום, nonetheless, מישהו זקן, if somebody is very old, או חולה, they're sick, רשאי לאומרם מיושב. Yoshev, we would say. You're allowed to say it while you're sitting down. So, how important is it to stand? Important enough that if you can, you should stand. But what if you're a person who is not feeling well? Or they're old already and it's hard for them to stand up so long? So they're allowed to say, Baruch Shamar, sitting down. Baruch Shamar. But this is very important. I've seen people in the Beit say, hey, stand up, it's Baruch Shamar. Don't do that. You don't know why someone is sitting down. Maybe somebody had an operation on their knee and they don't want to tell you about it. Maybe somebody has hurt themselves, they want to tell you about it. Maybe somebody's not feeling well. In general, keep your nose out of other people's business in the Beit Knesset. I see this also, we open up the Orach Kodesh. Some people stand, some people sit because they're not well. It's okay to sit down when that one Kodesh is open. You're supposed to stand out of honor to that one Kodesh, but it's okay to sit. So when you have to stand, the only time you have to stand with the Torah
is coming towards you.
Very good. When the Torah is moving. When the Torah is moving, thank you, Hanan, you have to stand up, especially when it's near you. It's disrespectful that the Torah should be right next to you and you're sitting down.
But also when someone is rolling it to the proper...
No, once it's on the table, it's okay. Yeah, if the Torah is resting, you're resting. If the Torah is moving, you're moving. Now, again, if a person really can't get up, what? Yeah, I'm talking about Sefer Torah. Here, the Sefer Torah, I see people say, oh, get up, get up. Don't tell a person get up until the Sefer Torah moves. And even then, I don't recommend telling anybody something. Everyone knows why they're sitting, especially in a community like ours. Everybody knows what they're doing. So if they're sitting, there's a reason they're sitting. Baruch She'amar, Yeshnam Shemonim V'Sheva Tevot. There are 87 words in Baruch She'amar. V'siman Davar, and a hint to this, Rosho Ketem Paz. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is a line from the early Ashkenazi Kabbalists. Rosho Ketem Paz, that his head is like gold. Hashem's head is like gold. It's very interesting. These books sometimes describe HaKadosh Baruch Hu in ways that Chachamei Sfarad were not so comfortable with. Paz, gold, is 87. And so you know that Baruch She'amar, you say 87 words. V'yesh. L'dagdek. You should know the early Ashkenazi rabbis were very, very particular to count the numbers of words in every prayer. And they came up with all kinds of fantastic reasons why every tefillah has a certain number of words in it. And it changes. Once you see a different siddur, for example, a Safari siddur, we have a different number of words. What do you want us to do? And so that leads to a lot of contention. Do you say the right number of words according to them, or do you say the words that we are traditionally saying? V'yesh l'dagdek b'amirat Baruch She'amar, and it's important in Baruch She'amar, v'lo yosif v'lo yigra mipei zayin tevot, that you should not say anything more or less than the 87 words that are in Baruch She'amar. Why do you think he's telling us that? Have you ever seen a Baruch She'amar that has more than 87 words? Somebody from my Bet HaKnesset, have you ever seen a Baruch She'amar that has more than 87 words?
I never counted the words, but I think the one in the Ashkenazi Siddur and the Sephardi Siddur are very slightly different. Like they're a little different order of the words.
Interesting, that's a good question. Very good. In our Siddur, which is the Tefillat HaChodesh, is the old Sephardic Siddur printed in Leghorn, Italy, our Siddur has two versions of Baruch She'amar, you remember? On page 321. A short one and a long one. And some communities have an old minhag to say the long version of Baruch She'amar on holidays or certain special occasions. And then it says, and some people are very careful, they always say the 87 version word of this. In our community, we always say the 87 version word anyways. But there are communities that have a custom to say a longer Baruch She'amar in some weeks, and that makes certain Mekubalim especially very upset. How dare you say a version of Baruch She'amar that doesn't match 87 words? And the other communities say, how dare you tell us not to say the Baruch She'amar that we've been saying our whole life inside of our synagogues. But the version that we say, Baruch She'amar ve'aya ha'olam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Omer ve'oseh, that one, it matches 87 words. And that's the one that we say on weekdays, on holidays, on happy occasions. We say the same one every single time. On page 14, Al pi dat rabotenu mekubalim, according to the opinion of the Mekubalim, יש לאחוז שתי הציציות שלפניו בידו בשעת אמירת ברוך שאמר. When a man says Baruch She'amar and he's wearing talit, he should hold the front two tzitziot on his talit while saying Baruch She'amar. וכשיסיים מלך מעולל בתשבחות, ינשקן ויניחן מידו. And when you finish Baruch She'amar, you should kiss those tzitziot and put them down. Why the two front tzitziot and not all four tzitziot?
Two front are easiest to read.
Okay, very good. Practically, Al-Quran says that front two are easiest to reach. Maran writes in the laws of Kirat Shema that the Kabbalists have a custom to hold the two front tzitziot because how many knots do you have in each corner of the tzitzit? Knots. How many knots do you have?
Actually, 3 are mandatory, but I think the rest are optional.
Chavi, you wear tzitzit all day, no?
Yeah.
You never looked at them?
Yeah, just okay.
How many knots do you have?
I counted mine. I think there's 5 or 5.
5. Thank you, Hanan. There are 5 knots on your tzitziot. Now, if you wear the Rambam tzitziot, you maybe have 1, but the rest of the tzitziot have 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 are the Sefirot, the Kabbalistic Sefirot, and that's why the Kabbalists have you holding 2 tzitziot and not 4 tzitziot. The same thing by Shema. My grandfather used to hold only his 2 front tzitziot, that's what it says in Shulchan Aruch, and not all 4, like many people have a custom doing. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's a minhag. But to each their own, and the 4 is because of the 4 corners of the world, and the 2 is because of the 10 Sefirot. And in any case, this is by Baruch She'amar. The custom is, if those people hold tzitziot, only to hold the front 2. Im shachach levarech Baruch She'amar kodem pesukei dezimra. What happens if you started saying pesukei dezimra? Let's say you walked into the Beit Knesset late, and you just picked up from Ashley, wherever they were up to. You forgot to say Baruch She'amar at the beginning. Rashai levarech Baruch She'amar kol shelo siyem amirat pesukei dezimra. No matter when you remember, so long as you're still in the middle of pesukei dezimra, you're allowed to say Baruch She'amar then. Yes? Let's say you come in, Ashrei, Yoshua, right? And you say, oh, I'll sing with you guys. And then you're like, oh, I forgot to say Baruch She'amar. What do? Say Baruch She'amar after Ashrei. V'afilu niskar be'entza shirat hayam. And even if you remember in the middle of the shirat hayam, the song of the sea, Reshai levarech Baruch She'amar, you could still say Baruch She'amar in the middle of Az Yashir. Avalim niskar k'shigia kvar leberkat yishtabach. But if you already reached the blessing of Yishtabach, Shuv eno rashai levarech berkat Baruch She'amar. You are not able anymore to say Baruch She'amar because there's nothing in between your Baruch She'amar and your Yishtabach blessing. V'hu adin, it's an interesting halacha. Li'inyan yamim shegomrim behem et halel. On the days in which we recite a blessing on the full halel, shim lo berach al halel bercha rishona. That if you forgot to recite the beginning blessing on the halel, rashai levarech kol zman shelo siyem pesukei halel. You're allowed to say the blessing on the halel any time that you're still in the middle of halel. Yeah? What blessing we say on halel? Asher k'shem tov tzivanu ligmor et halel. Now let's say you're 1 paragraph in. You can still say it. 2 paragraphs, you can still say it. 4, you can still say it. Until the end. Then you can't say it anymore. But so long as you remember in the middle of the halel, you're allowed to say the first blessing of halel and continue from where you left off. V'im niskar achar shesiyem shirat hayam. Let's say you remember right after you finish the song of the sea. Kodem she'amar yishtabach. You didn't yet say yishtabach. Eno reshai levarech berkat yishtabach b'shem u'malchut. You're not allowed to say the blessing of yishtabach with Hashem's name. Shemekevan shelo amar Baruch She'amar, because you did not say Baruch She'amar, eno reshai lomar gam yishtabach. You're not allowed to say yishtabach. These blessings are connected to each other. והוא הדין לעניין ימים שגורמים בהם את ההלל, שאם לא ברך על ההלל ברכה ראשונה וסיים אמרת הלל, אינו רשאי לברך ברכת ילוכה שבסיום אמרת הלל. The same things with Halel. If you forgot to say the first blessing on the Halel, and you only remember now at the end, you're not allowed to say the last blessing with Hashem's name. This teaching of his there are definitely rabbis who argue, yes, but his opinion is that when in doubt as to when to make a blessing, you don't say the blessing, and that's why he writes what he writes. But for example, the Maharam ben Chaviv, among others, says that you could say the blessing at the end, even if you didn't say the blessing in the beginning. But either way, this is what he writes here. Zman Pesukei Dezimah. So at what time, what's the time frame that you're allowed to say the morning Pesukei Dezimah inside of? So on page 14 in the middle, in Vav, Zman Amirat Pesukei Dezimah, the time of saying Pesukei Dezimah, Matchil Bezman Alot HaShachar, begins from when dawn starts. B'sha shu shah v'chamishit hashah b'shot zemaniot kodem zirchat hashemesh k'mo shevar halan. That's an hour and a fifth of halachic hours before the sun rises. ונמשך עד 4 שעות מתחילת היום כזמן תפילת שחרית. And you can say the Pesukei Dezimra until 4 hours into the day, which is exactly the same amount of time you have to say Shacharit. ואם לא אמר פסוקי דזמרה, and if you did not say פסוקי דזמרה, ולא התפלל שחרית, and you did not pray שחרית, עד אחר 4 שעות מתחילת היום, until after 4 hours into the day, אם אירע כן בשוגג או באונס, if this happened by accident, or you were forced to And in those situations, you might be allowed to pray Shacharit even though it's already too late. Yivarech Baruch Shamar v'yishtabach b'shem u'malchut. You say Baruch Shamar and yishtabach with Hashem's name. V'yomar pesukei de zimra, and you say pesukei de zimra, v'achar kach yitpei Shacharit, then you pray Shacharit. Avad b'chot kirat Shema, and no reshai levarech ha'arba shot b'chaz hayom, but you're not allowed to say the blessing of the Shema 4 hours after the day. V'im ira ken b'mezid. What if a person intentionally chooses to pray late? כיוון שיש אומרים שאינו רשאי להתפלל יותר תפילת שמונה עשרה של שחרית באותו יום, since there are some poskim who say that he's not allowed to say even the Amidah anymore. You chose to pray late, you lose the chance to pray. ולהלכה יתפלל שמונה עשרה בתנאי שנדבה לחוש הדעת המחמירים שחייב להתפלל, וכמו שיבר להלן. So what should a person do? They should pray the Amidah. How many Amidas are you allowed to pray? How many Amidot do you have to pray a day?
You have to pray
3.
three, you have to pray as many as
But you can pray as a nidava, as a donation, so to speak, to Hashem. Meaning as an optional tefillah, as many as you want. So when you pray Shacharit late and you say the Amidah, you should not say that I'm doing it for Shacharit, but I'm offering a random Amidah to Hashem. לכן, לא יברך בשם ומלכות ברכת ברוך שאמר וברכת ישתבח שצריך ברכות להקל. And in those types of situations where you cannot really pray Amidah, you also shouldn't say ברוך שאמר ונשתבח with Hashem's name. ובכל עניין. Nonetheless, in every case, אין לברך על פסוקי דזמרה ברכת ברוך שאמר וברכת ישתבח אלא קודם שיתפלל תפילת 18 של שחרית. You can only say the blessings for ברוך שאמר ונשתבח when you pray פסוקי דזמרה before Amidah. אבל אם יתפלל 18 של שחרית, top of page 15, ועדיין לא אמר פסוקי דזמרה, אפילו עדיין הוא בתוך 4 שעות מהיום, יאמר פסוקי דזמרה בלא שיברך בשם מלכות, ברכת ברוך שאמר וברכת ישתבח. Let's say, for whatever reason, you prayed your Amidah before you prayed your Pesukei Dezimah. So you did your tefillah out of order. Give me an example why you would do that.
Mixed up.
You're not confused? Let's say you got to the Beit HaKnesset. Give me the case.
Late.
Yeah, you came late. You see they're praying Amidah. You pray Amidah with them. Now you want to go back and say Pesukei Dezimah. That's okay, but don't say it with Hashem's name because now your tefillah is out of order. Want to hear an interesting story?
Yeah.
Look on page 15 in the left column. Here's an interesting story. Regarding the time for which you're allowed to start Pesukei Dezimah. In the customs of the Maharil, many Ashkenazi customs come from this book. Katav, he writes, Maaseh b'Magensa. There was a story in Magensa. B'Hosha'ana Rabbah. On Hosha'ana Rabbah. When is Hosha'ana Rabbah?
That's the 7th day of Sukkot.
Very good. It's the last day of Chol HaMoed before Shemini Atzeret. Yeah, you're right, Bill. Yeah, don't doubt yourself. Yeah? Yeah, you're right, it's the 7th day, because Shemini Atzeret is the 8th day already. Hishkimu HaTzibur, the whole community woke up, Uverosham Mahari Segal. And Mahari Segal got up. Segal is the last name, Segal. Have you heard the last name, Segal?
Yeah.
It's an Ashkenazi last name. What does it mean? It's not a bird. Notice how they write Segal. What?
It's not a bagel.
It's not a bagel. Very good. Segal are always Levim. How do you know they're Levim? Look at the way they write the word Segal. Look. Samech Gimel apostrophe Lamed. What's the apostrophe tell you? That this word is not a word, it's an acronym. Very good. Acronym for what? Sgan LaKohanim. They're the vice Kohanim. They're the assistants of the Kohanim. Who are the assistants of the Kohanim? Levim. This last name was an Ashkenazi last name, kind of like the last name Katz. Last name Katz doesn't refer to the animal, a cat. Rather, Katz means Kohen Tzedek, a righteous Kohen. And that's why they got the name Katz. Unfortunately, due to the way that the Jewry of America works, you have many Katzes that are not Kohanim, just like you have many Kohens that are not Kohens. The last name Kahana, also similar, Kohen. You may hear a lot of names that are very similar. They're all intended to show you that they are Kohanim. So they woke up very early. They thought it was already very early in the morning and that it was already dawn. But they made a mistake. Someone miscalculated. They woke up the whole community an hour early. How can you get a whole community awake an hour early? How does it happen? They don't have alarm clocks. How do they all make the same mistake?
I know, especially during, when we say slichot, that there used to be communities where they go and wake up their people.
Very good. So the rooster Hanan doesn't make mistakes. But the person makes mistakes. So they used to have what they call in Ashkenaz a veker. A veker means a knocker. I don't speak Yiddish. Don't trust me about my translations. If my wife was here, I would ask her. What is a veker? A veker, my wife's great-great-grandfather used to be a Myra veker. His job in Yerushalayim was to wake up all the people who were sleeping for Arvit. Did you forget Arvit? Did you forget Arvit? He would knock. Imagine you prayed and you went to sleep for the night, and some guy knocks. He doesn't knock on your front door. Okay? You have to think. People lived in little houses. He's knocking on your bedroom window. Wake up! Did you do Arvit yet? You have to scream at him. You have to throw water at him. Whatever happens. So in Ashkenaz, in the morning, somebody would go around and wake you up. In Sefarad, also for Slichot especially, Selichot, they would take sticks and knock on all the windows. Selichot, the whole world. Ben Adam alecha nirdam, kum kera betachanunim. Right? What are you saying? Ben Adam, why are you sleeping? That's what the song means. Ben Adam, why are you sleeping? Wake up. That's the purpose of the song. Likely the song was written for all the people that were sleeping. Originally in old Sephardic Kehillat, you still find this in Yemen and Morocco and those Kehillat, there's a song we sing before Ben Adam. Yashan lama teradem. It's a beautiful song. But sleepy one, why are you sleeping? Wake up. It's a similar idea to Ben Adam. So somebody woke them up early. So now the whole Kehillah is early. They're in the Beit HaKnesset and they made a mistake. They're up an hour early. Shadayin hata levana zorachat betokpa. They look out the window, they see the moon is still there. So is it done or not done? No. Vayum mutafin talit v'inichu tefillin. They were wrapped in talit. They were wearing tefillin. How could they be wearing tefillin on Chol HaMoed?
Some communities had a custom.
Very good. Most Ashkenazi Jews wore tefillin on Chol HaMoed. V'simut pesukei dezimah. Now they were done with pesukei dezimah. Melech me'ula bat ishpachot. Amen. They're done. Ishtabach is over. And now they look outside and they see the moon. And then it got dark again. They waited almost an hour. Till the sun came out, till dawn happened. And the next Rosh Chodesh, Mar Cheshvan, Mahari Sigal told the whole community to come. Shit'anu, that they should come fast. Al shamu pesukei dezimra, v'henichu talit u'tefillin balayla. That they all have to come and fast and do teshuvah. That they woke up so early and put on talit and tefillin and said Baruch She'amar before it was the right time to say it. So here you see that you really can't say pesukei dezimra before the right time. So much so that he waited until after the holiday was over, and he made them come fast and do teshuvah for what was a mistake. Clearly it was a mistake. You thought I was a bad rabbi. Imagine I made you come to Beit HaKnesset and fast. Or I woke you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, can you imagine?
Now you have the phone so you can
That's right.
but now they have the phone so they can put off the ring.
That's right. So let's see a little bit more. V'huvad halacha b'Eliyah Rabbah. It's quoted the halacha in the Eliyah Rabbah. ובמקור חיים, ואין בספר יוסף אומץ, יוספה, שנראה שסובר שזמן פסוקי דזמרה הוא משירה את חברו בריחוק 400 ויכירנו. That he seems to think that it's not from when dawn comes, but it's a little earlier than that, when you're able to recognize your friend 4 amot away, and you can recognize them. אמנם בשו"ת תשובה מאהבה, הוכיח מפירוש רש"י, שמותר לומר בכל פסוקי דזמרה קודם אות השחר. תשובה מאהבה proves that it's okay to say פסוקי דזמרה earlier than the dawn. וכן העיד מדברי רש"י, and he proves this from the words of רש"י, המרשם בדעת תורה. ואין בספר תורת חיים סופר, שכתב שיתחילו ברוך שאמר בפסוקי דזמרה עם עלות השחר. That he says they start ברוך שאמר when dawn begins. ואין עוד בשו"ת שושנים דוד סבח, ובשו"ת מילי דאבות, ובשו"ת מנהל משפט, ובשו"ת זקיל עבדי, ובשו"ת פעת שדיך, ובוודאי שיש לחוש דברי המעריל שלא להתחיל בפסוקי דזמרה קודם עלות השחר. So even though we have some rabbis who say that you can say פסוקי דזמרה earlier, it's really important to take the words of the Maharil into consideration. V'chen pasak Adoni Avi Mori v'Rabbi Maran Zezer Tzivka Shavachab Sh'Lechavei Dat. That's his father. It says, my father, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, was very careful to only say Baruch Shama after dawn. V'sham nitbe'er be'orech zman alot hashachar. And over there you can look at length. He explains to you when exactly is the time of alot hashachar. Tomorrow night, I want to spend some time on the question of whether or not women are allowed to recite the beracha over Pesukei Dezimah of Baruch Shamar Nishtabach. And it's obviously a point of contention between some poskim. If I can remind you a little bit now, women are exempt from time-bound mitzvot. There's a major debate between Chachmei Sfarad and Chachmei Ashkenaz whether a woman can obligate herself in the blessing over time-bound mitzvot. So she can do the mitzvah, but can she say the words Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, or is that saying Hashem's name in vain? That then leads us to tefillah. Tefillah doesn't have the formula of Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, but if it's something that she's not allowed, it's a bracha she's not obligated in, the question is she allowed to say the blessing over it? Tomorrow, I'm going to open up the sugya. I'm going to view it in the way that Rabbi Ovadia says family views it, and then I'm likely going to present an alternative reading of the text to what they would suggest for us. But for right now, I wanted to see if anybody had any questions or comments, and then we should count the Omer together. B'ezrat Hashem.